Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Lewis Speaks 2024, and today I want to talk to you all about the importance of standing up for yourself. You know, it's really important that you advocate for yourself in this world because oftentimes you may very well be the only person that does. A lot of people in this world, they like to gain power off of your passivity. They like to gain a sense of control off of your cooperation. And while it's all well and good to be cooperative to a certain degree, you have to realize that being overly cooperative and always compromising, it leads to a feeling of surrender, you know? And it can be a form of surrender. And so there have been times in my life where I have, in an effort to preserve the relationship, in an effort to keep the peace, I have conceded to other people's thinking, other people's ideas. As I mentioned before, this was my way of trying to preserve the relationship, to cooperate, and create a sense of unity and harmony. But what I've noticed is that I would go home and I would ruminate and I would trace over the experience over and over and over and think of different scenarios where I could have handled things differently. And I realized that that's what happens when you don't stand up for yourself in the moment. All you end up doing is postponing the war. You end up delaying the battles because you have to go home and fight those mental battles. You ruminate and you pour over and you think constantly about how you could have stood up for yourself. And you have regrets and remorse. And the thing about it is, your life should not be filled with any regrets. You have to make sure that you stand up in that moment. And yeah, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, there's going to be some hurt feelings. Yeah, people are not going to like you because you're standing up for yourself. But when you go home, you are going to like you. You know, I know that there are some parents who told their children when they were younger, either you fight the bully in school or you're going to have to come home and fight me. I don't know if any of y'all heard that expression before. Maybe your mom or your dad told you that when you were younger, you know, to help you deal with bullies because they realized that if you don't stand up for yourself, it will lead to later regret. You will be angry with yourself. You will beat yourself up. The beating that you refuse to give them is the beating that you're going to have to come home and give yourself. The beating that you refuse to give them is the beating that you will come home to yourself. So to avoid that, to avoid beating yourself up, you have got to protect yourself. And this applies to corporate spaces too and professional spaces too, because oftentimes there will be times where you sit within circles where people try to undermine your thinking. They'll try to undermine your intuition. They'll try to avoid giving you credit for your ideas. You know, so there comes a time where you have to stand up. You have to stand up, stand in your truth, let people know that you're not the one. You're not the one, and that if they ever think you are the one, then they're in for a rude awakening. You will always stand up for yourself. You will always go toe to toe with them. They know that you are not the type of person that will concede. You know, I think that in the past, as a person who loves peace, I just said it wasn't worth it. I let it go. I was extremely passive. I have to acknowledge that. I just let it go. I was very easygoing. Oh, just okay. Just let it go. Let it go. But after you let it go so many times, you realize that wait a minute, you're the only one letting things go. They are just continuing like a dog with a bone. They're holding on. They're holding on and they're getting their way. You're not getting your way. You know, you're not getting your ideas to the forefront. And so you realize that, wait a minute, I need to stop being so easygoing and I need to start saying the truth about how I'm feeling about something. You know, I need to stop being so committed to preserving the relationship with other people to the point where I'm denying my own feelings. I'm denying my own truth. And so you wake up. You wake up. And I think also this is a feature of trauma, that fear of abandonment. You fear that other people won't like you, and if they don't like you, then they'll leave you, then you won't have any allies, then you won't have any support. So it's this fear, so you just concede as a way to get other people to like you, as a way to get that support. But the thing about it is what I've realized, people don't like you. They like their ability to control you. They don't really like you. They like the power that they get from being able to win, for being able to allow their story to take the forefront. They like the feeling that they get from being in control. That's what they like. They don't like you. And I had to realize that. They don't even like themselves. You would sit within spaces where people don't even like themselves. But they will put on a mask. They will wear a disguise of confidence and self-love when really these people do not even like themselves. And so this is what I had to come to grips with. This is what I had to realize. I had to realize that people really, really do not like themselves. And when you realize that, when that really sinks in, you stop trying to be liked. You stop looking for the approval of other people, and you begin to prioritize your own approval. Do I approve of me? Do I like me? I like me when I stand up for myself. I like me when I articulate my thinking. I like me when I'm courageous and I'm bold enough to stand in my truth, even when other people do not agree with me, even when the world is against me. I like myself when I maintain my integrity and I stand in my truth, even in the face of much opposition. That right there, you love yourself. There have been experiences where other people have disagreed with me and they have rallied and railed against all of my thinking, but I stood up, I stood in my truth, and lo and behold, later on, they were forced to acknowledge that I was right. And do you know how good a feeling it was when you realize that all along you were right? All along you had it together. All along you knew what was up, And I think this is why you have to have self-confidence. You have to have self-belief. You have to know that what you're saying is right. And you have to walk in that truth, even when the whole world is against you. Because this world is crooked and twisted. The mentality of this world is so warped and distorted, I can't take it seriously. And so the thing about it is this: you have to be willing to stand up, rise up, take heart, rise up, know that what you're saying is correct. Know that there is more than one way sometimes to do things, and you need to advocate for your way, because there are so many times where people try to talk you out of yourself, talk you out of your thinking, talk you out of your knowledge. You know these things to be true, but they want to talk you out of it with their opinions. No. And this is why it's so important to be knowledgeable, to be in the know. A lot of times when I was younger, I was so busy trying to trust in the authority and the leadership of other people. But I've realized that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so these people will oftentimes use their position of leadership and use their power and their agency to try to gain control over you, even if that means them telling you a falsehood or a lie. So this is why you have to make it your aim to be in the know. You have got to make it your aim, because the thing about it is this: that's how you also fortify yourself and strengthen your resolve to stand up for yourself, by being in the know. When you know what you're talking about and you convey that confidently and you articulate that confidently, yeah, people are not gonna like you. But who cares? Who cares? Because in this day and age, I don't care anymore. I don't care if people like me, but you will respect me. That's the thing. You will respect me because there will be a consequence if you don't, depending on the environment. And that's the thing. You have to get to that point. You have to get to that point where you value respect over being liked, over outside external approval. I value my own self-respect. I value my internal peace over somebody else's approval. Because it's true, when you're always trying to keep the peace, it starts a war inside you. And that's what you have to remember. That's why I've realized that in the moment, I am going to stand up for myself and articulate myself in the moment. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about what you think. No, I'm going to stand up for myself in the moment so I don't go home later on and beat myself up. So I don't go home later on and ruminate over the situation as to what I should have done differently. No. Everything that I think I would have done differently, I'm going to do right now. That's the commitment and resolve that I tell myself, and that's my thinking that I have right now, in this moment. Everything I think that I'm going to regret later on and beat myself up for later on, I'm going to do now so I don't beat myself up later on. What I should have said now. What I should have said now, I'm going to say now. I'm going to say it. And you have to speak up and not care so much about how you come across to other people, because that's always living in someone else's mind will drive you crazy. Always living in someone else's heart will drive you nuts. Always trying to make sure that they take it a certain way. It's impossible. You can't control the way that people take things. You can't. People are going to take offense based on their own personal experiences in life and based on their own trauma profiles. That's them. That's them. You can't control that. All you can control is the way that you deliver it and the truth that you tell to relieve yourself. It's all about relieving yourself and not carrying the burdens of all these other people. You can't do it. You can't do it. You have to save your energy for the people you love and for the people that love you. You have to make sure that you are investing your energy correctly. I think why we're so drained oftentimes too is that we're always investing our energy in these wrong places and these wrong people. We're giving our energy to these people that don't love us, that don't care about us, that don't really value us, that don't prioritize us. We're always trying to invest in that. No, divest from that space and give that energy to the ones who love you, because they're going to be the ones who strengthen you and encourage you. These other people, they won't. And so I'm learning where to put my energy, where to invest it, because your life satisfaction is greatly determined by where you put your energy and where you invest your efforts. If you're constantly investing your efforts into these low vibrational situations, low vibrational people, low vibrational environments, they're not going to yield an adequate return. That's the reality. You have to learn where to invest your energy. And I think that's where I went wrong. I was so busy trying to invest in these people that were only trying to control me and dominate me. I continue to invest in these spaces full of people who didn't like me, always trying to gain their approval, try a little extra hard to make them like me and win them over. Nah, dead that. Let that go, because it's not. These people don't care. They really don't value you. And so you need to invest that energy into spaces where people value you. That's part of also standing up for yourself too. Learning how to take your energy back. If you gave it in the past, if you used to invest in the past, take it away. And of course, people are they're going to notice. They're going to notice that you have divested your energy. They're going to say that you changed and you're acting funny and all this other stuff. But who cares what they think? Once again, what they think is irrelevant. You know that they don't care about you. You know that they don't value you. So who cares? You realize that you'll never get genuine cooperation from these spaces and from these people. So it's time to actually shift. Shift and direct your energy elsewhere. And once again, you got to stand up for yourself. It's about time that you stand up for yourself because, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you may very well be the only person that does. You may very well be the only one who stands up for yourself. You know, always know that even in the absence of company, you are always loved and protected when you stand up for yourself. A lot of us were not raised on protection. A lot of us were not taught the art of self-protection. So we've got to learn it now. And let this be my invitation to you to begin to learn the art of self-protection now by standing up for yourself in the moment. Stand up for yourself in this moment. And you'll start to realize that, yes, there is somebody here who loves me. Me. I'm the somebody that loves me. I'm the one when I say, oh, nobody cares, nobody this, no, when you get on your victimhood horse and want to ride that down the street, no. Get off the victimhood horse and begin to get on the empowerment horse. Begin to realize that, yes, there is someone who loves you. You are the someone that loves you. You're the one that shows up for you. You're the one that protects you. You don't allow someone to come into your space and disrespect and desecrate your happy home. This is your home. This is your home. This is your home. Your spirit, that's your home. Don't allow these people to come into your home and desecrate your space. Don't do it. Master the art of self-love, self-protection, and you're good. You're good. So I hope this video was helpful. Please begin to speak up for yourself. And that doesn't mean you have to have an attitude. That doesn't mean that you have to get angry at somebody, because initially that's the initial reaction that happens when you stand up for yourself, because you think that you have to be angry, or you've been socialized and conditioned to believe that standing up for yourself is an act of anger, or I have to be upset, or, somebody, when they stood up in the past, they were angry at me. They were, your experiences with self-advocacy and self-protection will definitely determine the way that you stand up for yourself. Definitely. If you had caretakers that only confronted you about something when they were pissed, and they conveyed that through the nonverbal energy, through their yelling, screaming, if they convey that in inappropriate ways, of course you're going to associate standing up for yourself with something negative. But, shift the way that you see standing up for yourself. To be honest, standing up for yourself is a beautiful thing because it preserves relationships. It doesn't end them. It only ends situations with people who are not meant to be in your life anyway. If someone takes offense to you protecting yourself, that person was never your friend. So begin to examine the relationship that you have with standing up for yourself, and realize that you don't have to be angry. You don't have to be upset. You don't have to communicate it in a very derogatory and disrespectful manner. You can calmly and respectfully stand up for yourself, And yes, you may be angry that anger. The source of that anger is because you feel as though, why do I have to do this? Why isn't someone protecting me? Why don't they know that what they're doing to me is wrong? All these thoughts will get into your mind, right? And that makes you angry. That makes you angry due to your own trauma profile as well. You have to do that work. But realize that standing up for yourself is an act of self-love. It's you calmly, soundly stating what you will and won't tolerate. It's setting that boundary so that way you can actually enjoy people and not resent them, not go home with bitterness, anger, resentment tucked in your spirit. No. I stand up for myself now. This is your affirmation. I stand up for myself now so I don't regret myself later. I stand up for myself now so I don't regret myself later. I stand up for myself now so I don't regret the other person later. I stand up for myself now to avoid resentment in the future. This is my way of dispelling bitterness. I am basically just getting rid of all the bitterness and toxicity by standing up for myself in this moment. I will battle in this moment. I will go to war in this moment so I don't come home and have to fight wars. My home is my sanctuary. My home is my peace. I stand up for myself now to keep that. So I hope this video was helpful in standing up for yourself, because you deserve an advocate. You deserve all the love and advocacy and protection that you give to everyone else. It's time to give that to yourself. I hope this video was helpful, y'all. Peace.